do I regret doing that song with Chris? Do I regret like putting ourselves out there? Because we used to kiss on stage. We did it on purpose. I would like to officially say right here, we did it on purpose because it riled up the crowd.
What's going on? Welcome to She's with the Band here on KNOTFEST. My name's Tori Kravitz, and I am joined by Ash Costello of New Year's Day. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I know. It's like I get a podcast about girls in metal, and like you should have been the first guest. What was I doing?
Like I said, I'm a bit elusive. I'm a bit hard to pin down, as my boyfriend says. I'm a bit of a loose cannon, a bit of a wild card.
But that's why I love you, is I feel like you're so fun. I love every time we chat because it's like equally a friend catch up, and then we got to talk about your music and all the things.
We are past a decade. Yeah.
Oh no.
So we're past a decade since our first interview, which by the way, I gotta say, you're killing it and I'm so happy to see it. Like I'm just so elated to watch your star get bigger.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
I feel like there's very few, there's few guests I've had on the podcast where I feel like I've known through the whole thing. It's been like you, and then I had Lilith on not long ago.
Oh shoot.
And her and I kind of, it's like a similar time frame where I was just like, man, we've literally grown up together, it feels. And I don't know, it feels like I feel like I'm finding my place in the scene, and with everything you're doing right now, it seems like you've found your voice like to the utmost degree now. I feel like I get these glimmers of I have found my voice, and it's very fleeting because as soon as I feel like I found it, it's like, oh, there it goes. And I'm always rediscovering what my place means to me and what it means to the scene and what it means to the fans, what it means to the industry and what it means to my peers and what I say, like my fellow employees, aka members of other bands that we tour with. And it's ever evolving, as I'm sure you can relate to. Yeah. But I think that's what makes us kind of withstand the test of time, is that our purpose and our reason and what the vision is always changing, and that's evolving. Okay. So do you feel like you're just a constant work in progress then as you grow as a person? What New Year's Day is changes too. Definitely a constant work in progress. And I'm glad for that too, because, and I was talking about this with my boyfriend who's also in a band, and he understands like you can't be stagnant. And we were talking about this the other day. It's like, you are constantly transforming. You never stop. You're never settling. You're never done learning. And I did an interview where they said, so are you so excited you're done with the album, you get to rest? Like, no, we're already writing the next one, and I'm already thinking about how to push myself further past what we just did. So there's never really, I don't feel like I've rested in a decade, honestly. But that's the thing, is like people think, oh, they released an album, now it'll be a year or two and they'll release the next one. But like in that year or two, you're working on it. It doesn't stop. So do you feel like, I mean, even with the album that's out now, how do you know when you're done? Because you could always be working on it. It's the hard one. Yeah. I used to rely on other people to tell me I was done. Yeah. They'd be like, look, you gotta stop and you have to put out an album right now. But I would tell everyone with this album, I said, I will let the album tell me. Because we had that luxury because of COVID. Right. You had a lot of time. Yeah, we had extra time, which we had never had before. It was always like, here's 3 weeks between tours. Can you kind of crap out an album and hope it's good? And it was really hard. Like that's not how I like to be creative at all. I need to like mull it over and think and process, and I have to like mentally prepare myself forever. And so with COVID, we started writing in 2020, and I kept saying the record will tell us when it's done. And the label tried to tell us when it was done. And they go, oh, you got a record. And I said, no, we don't. No, we don't. And it took another year after that. Yeah. So I let the record tell me. That is profound. Like, is it? Because okay, I literally wrote down this quote because I loved it so much. They said that you're one with the universe, and like that's your mindset. Yes. And like that to me is an exact example of that. Is like used your intuition to know when it was ready, because you're connected with yourself, and you're connected with when you know it's right. I describe the universe as a series of doors, and maybe you can relate to this because I can think back to every time in my life a door revealed itself to me, and I thought I'm supposed to walk through that door, even though maybe it's feeling a little bit like, what am I doing? For example, when I met the other half of the Haxons, when I met Piggy D. Yeah, of course. It was just fate had put us in the same place. And, and then he'd reach out to me and said, would you like to do the Haxons? And I looked at all the little things that needed to line up in my life for this union to come together. And I thought, this is a door I'm meant to walk through.
And it's going to lead me to other doors, which it did. And that's just a constant ebb and flow. So I've relinquished control and just let it happen.
And when you see it unraveling so effortlessly, like you don't have to push for something, like the door opened and you just walk through and that's all it takes for that opportunity to happen. That's when you know it's right.
It's very freeing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, maybe it's a bit naive and maybe a little bit presumptuous that I feel like the universe has got me, but I'm always like, the universe will work itself out.
I'm that way too, though. And I do think there's something to be said for the mindset that comes with that, of just trust and confidence.
Yeah.
That probably guides us in a way. Because this industry is so tumultuous. I think if there wasn't a sense of trust in ourselves and in the process, we'd be kind of messed up.
That's very true. You have to have a lot of trust in, like, no matter what happens, no matter what disaster or tragedy or something incredible or a miracle comes your way, you believe you've got it.
Yes.
Which I do at this point, even a little scary. Still scary all the time, but I feel like now when like we lose a band member or maybe an engine on our bus blows up, which happened 2 tours ago, or, you know, we don't get a tour that we were supposed to get, or we get the tour we wanted, you know, whatever it is, I'm like, okay, I've got it. Like, it's going to be okay.
Well, isn't there a quote, this is not verbatim, but that like when there's a rejection, it's actually leading you to the opportunity.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, because being in the music industry and being like a woman in the music industry, I've had to learn to take no on the chin, because I've heard a lot of no's and still do all the time. And so I just go, well, that just wasn't meant to be. That no was meant to go to a yes to something else, you know? And I try to remind myself, like, Johnny Depp was supposed to play Louis in Interview with the Vampire, which turned out to be Brad Pitt. And then I think, you know, if he hadn't been told no, then there would be no Brad Pitt. You know, like, everyone needs a chance. You gotta it's okay to hear a no sometimes.
This wouldn't be an interview with you if there wasn't at least one
Interview with the Vampire
movie reference.
Okay.
Any.
Sure, there'll be many.
Look, bring them on. I'm ready.
I kind of speak in movie quotes.
I love that. And I also love that we have a shared love of House of a Thousand Corpses. And every time you post about it, I'm like, that's my girl.
Yeah, well, my brand new puppy that I just adopted last week ate. But this is my fault, because I shouldn't have left it on the floor. But I didn't know he was going to get into like an eating everything phase so quickly. He ate my signed photo from Sid Haig over the signature.
Of all the things.
He ate it.
It could be any other piece of paper.
He ate it. Where it said Tutti fucking fruity Sid Haig, and he ate it.
Oh no.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll never get it again.
There's going to be a tiny bit of resentment on that puppy now, though, I think.
I can't. I'm mad at myself because I knew better. Fair. I should have left it on the ground. But I thought, there's no way he'll eat paper. Surely he did. Yeah, he did.
Dogs will eat anything, especially a puppy. But
House of a Thousand Corpses, yes, is one of my all-time favorite movies. My all-time favorite movie of all time.
The all-time of all time of all time.
I still have, which I need to get when I go home. There's a photo album, and I saw it once a week for weeks when it came out. And I saved every ticket stub. So I need to like get that out of the corner of the garage and frame it.
That's sick.
Is it?
Or
is it worrisome? You know, I took my best friend at the time. We're talking, gosh, this movie came out in 2003, 4-ish.
I'm bad with years.
2003,
bad with time.
Give or take, 2003. So you were born. You were just born.
Hey, whoa.
No. And I was in high school. And I took my best girlfriend. And she looked at me after the opening scene where he said, you know, goddamn motherfucker got blood on my bus concert. And Ashley Duke, she looked at me, she goes, you need therapy. And I said, is this great? Like, I love it so much. I just fell in love with it.
It's such a good movie.
It is.
You know, this kind of leads me into a question I've really been excited to ask you about. So Half Black Heart, the whole title and even the song itself is about the juxtaposition and duality of, you know, loving the light and the dark. You love these horror movies, but you are also a Disney girl.
Yes.
And you have the black hair and the red hair. Like, just in every aspect, there's a duality in you. And I see that in myself too, as somebody who also possesses that. And I think that's true for a lot of people. Yeah. And so I want to know how you've come to terms with being able to proudly share all of those sides of you, because I just think back to when I was much younger and I was scared to admit, for example, that I loved Disney. Because I didn't want to be a poser, because I also am a heavy metal girl. And you didn't want that judgment of like, you can't love everything in both.
Yep.
So how did you not only come to terms with that duality, but feel so proud now to have a whole album that's centered around that?
I think because I grew up in a horror household, you know, my grandma and uncles were big horror people. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street at a too young age. But we were a big Disney family, and I had a Disney pass ever since I was little. Yeah. So I was exposed to both. But you know what's weird is Disney always felt very dark to me. You know, even as a kid, Haunted Mansion was my favorite. And it kind of scared me. And I'd go home and lay in bed and like feel like kind of weird, like this foreboding feeling of like, ooh, the Haunted Mansion. It was so scary. And I just embraced the fact that something so childlike and fantasy-like could have this dark side. So maybe that's kind of Disney's fault.
There are some creepy nuances in Disney stuff. If you look really closely, it's everywhere.
There's a lot. I have a book I just unpacked and put on my library shelf. Walt Disney, The Dark Prince of Hollywood, is their dark side that a lot of people don't know about. It's a great book. And but how did I embrace it? Yes, I definitely can relate to you. In high school, I felt like a poser.
Right.
Because when I went to high school, there was no Instagram or social media or internet.
Which lucky us. That we didn't have to deal with that.
I say this all the time. I feel so blessed to be a part of that generation that had to live in the moment and not think about, millions and thousands of other people that would see your things online. And so I totally forgot where I was going with that because I'll ramble. And so, we had to go to Disneyland and kind of live in the moment. And Disneyland was not cool. In school, we were teased like, that's for babies. It's for kids. Why are you going with your friends? And so I guess I just learned to embrace it early. Because I just always thought I was cooler than everybody else. I don't know how else to describe it. I really did. I always thought like I was tapped into something that no one else was tapped into in some weird way. So I guess just time as I got older, I just learned to have maybe a no apologies kind of attitude about it.
Yeah,
but I definitely can relate to the poser thing because I did get called a poser.
Yeah,
a lot for it.
I feel like if there's any younger viewers that are watching, this is like a really important conversation because I was sort of the same way where I was like, cool, if no one wants to hang out with me, I'm just gonna hang out by myself. Yes, and I really had that mindset of like I listen to cool music. Yeah, I'm really cool.
Exactly, and there's people out there like that.
But I was like getting bullied, and I was just like, whatever. If you don't like me, I'll be alone.
I was also in that sense duality in high school. I was teased. Yes, but I was also really popular, and I still look back and I don't really know, because I was on cheerleading, but I was goth. Boys didn't really like me yet, but I was friends with all the boys. So, and I got invited to the cool parties, but I was the wallflower. So I always kind of was in this middle area of straddling, poser and forward thinking, or nerdy dork popular cheerleader, or happy bubbly Disney kid, a scary horror kid wearing the trench coat in the back of the classroom everyone's a little unsure of, kind of always in the middle.
Yeah, this is so cool because, I'm like rewinding in my head and just like, whoa, this is so much impact because I think of like the journey of watching you as an artist and like remembering the first Warped Tour when I found you and you didn't even have the half hair yet.
No, I didn't.
And like the duality has always been there, but it feels like it's more prominent than ever now, or maybe most realized as ever.
I'm embracing it more.
Yeah. So, I mean, how was your journey of going from that girl in high school to the evolution from even My Dear when that first came out, Mechanical Heart EP, like, man, those are some bangers.
Those are old.
And like, they're old.
They are bangers. I actually listened to them recently and I was like, Ready a Misfire and My Dear are bangers.
So good.
Bangers, yeah.
Mechanical Heart EP is still my shit. I listened to it before this interview and I was like, man, she's always
no half hair then. No half hair.
No half hair.
I did 3 Warped Tours with no half hair. The first time I did the half head was, I want to say 2000, maybe late 2011, early 2012. So now we're going on over a decade of this. I don't even know how I have hair on the right side anymore because this is all, my natural hair is black. This is all bleached to hell.
Whoa.
10 years of bleaching. I don't know how I'm not bald. And I don't know. I mean, I remember the moment because I dyed my hair weird colors my whole life.
There's something defining about this though.
I can't, when I did it, it wasn't anything.
You didn't think
no, it was just another thing I did. Yeah. I did half top and bottom once, it was like right underneath, black on top. Or I did half, it was like this way. It was like, remember the pink bangs and like black on the back, which is not,
so I think I remember you at one point had like orangey red bangs.
I had orange in the front, black in the back.
Yeah.
And that was like, I called it being a Halloween head. And so that was the thing. And then it was just one of those things I did. It wasn't trying to be anything. And I remember I just signed to a record label, and I told someone at the record label I was going to do it. I was like at Floyd's on Melrose is where I did it.
So crazy.
And with our band at the time. And everyone thought it was so cool. And he goes, it's going to look stupid. Don't do it. Could you imagine if I listened? If you imagine. So I didn't. I was like, I disagree strongly and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So sorry, I guess. And I did it. And it kind of became its own monster pretty quick.
Yeah, because it's kind of oddly enough more than just a hairstyle.
Isn't that
because
wild?
It's become a whole brand.
I know. You never saw.
Anytime I see a girl with the same hair, I'm like, oh, they're trying to be Ash, even though
or
that's
at least
not
they
it.
gotta know a little bit. I can't tell you how much I'm stopped about this hair. Whenever we go out, every day, I get stopped about this every single day. I'm not kidding. It's every day. And I do look back, and the half hair wasn't a thing when I did it. So I'm not going to sit here and say every half head got started because I did it a decade ago, but I did set a trend for sure.
How does that feel? Because that's pretty powerful.
I don't know. I don't know, because I'm so humble in my mind. I'm like, surely
you just called yourself a trendsetter. You got it. Just
not
keep
everyone
going.
knows, but this is how I am. I go, not everyone knows, but some people know. And I know. And I'm good with that.
Yeah. That is really sick though. But so there's something to be said about the person who told you not to dye your hair, because this was something I talked about with Lilith, who I know you know as well, and about getting unsolicited advice in the music industry and kind of how you navigate staying true to you, how you navigate being authentic, and when to take advice or when it's gone too far. So how did you, with your intuition as it is, kind of navigate when somebody maybe knew better than you and when you were like, no, I know for sure what's right for me?
Well, I've been labeled as difficult because
you're a woman?
Because I stand up for myself. Yes.
Yeah.
And I do feel, being female gets you the label quicker.
Yeah.
Than a male maybe saying, no, I don't think I would like to do it that way. I believe I should do it this way. So I have been labeled difficult quite often still.
Me out.
Still, but that's okay, because it's taught me a lot, and I have thick skin, and I know how to stand up for myself, and I know how to stand tall in what I believe is the correct thing to do. But you also have to pick and choose your battles. I call it being a merciful Lord. I tell the boys, like, I'm a merciful Lord, and I know when to pick my battles, and I know when to back down, even though in my heart I know better, and I know I'm right. But you can't, it's when you're a leader, and when you're a leader among men, you have to walk a fine line. Yeah. You can't always, come out dick swinging at everybody. So I pick and choose my battles, and there's a lot to be said for that too, because it's very hard.
And do you feel like, I'm not trying to get into super gender conversation, but do you think if you were a guy, you wouldn't feel the need to pick and choose battles as much?
It's so funny. The first answer that comes to my mind is maybe if I was not Ronnie Radke, but I mean, it's probably not for him, but I do feel like men too in the music industry, even men that have a lot of that you would think of that have a more of a hierarchy among different bands. I do feel like we all kind of get told what to do by our teams in different ways, and I often feel like I want to say things like, you signed me for a reason, and please listen to my advice when it comes, especially to things when it comes to branding and marketing. I know me.
And fans can also sniff out if something's not authentic because they know you.
Oh, I always could. I always could. That's why in me, it has to be majorly authentic, because I grew up a huge fan of music, and I felt like I could always sniff out when someone wasn't authentic, and it was like a huge, you couldn't miss it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's ingrained in my head to try and be as authentic as I possibly can, because I feel like everyone's going to know if I'm not.
Yeah.
They're going to know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that you have such a say in your identity as an artist.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
it's you.
There's
no question about that.
There's little things here and there, they'll go, maybe you shouldn't, stupid things like maybe you shouldn't wear that, or maybe you don't need that on stage. And I go, Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Because I know they're like, maybe, you know, when I went with the super revealing black vinyl Cenobite meets Underworld outfit, they're like, maybe you don't need to show that much. And I said, well, I just want to. I don't know. It's just what I want to do.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. I'm feeling it, feeling myself. And I just feel like I need to go out there and sweat my butt off in head to toe black vinyl. Don't ask me why. And I thought it was great. I still think it was great. Yeah. I liked it.
I mean, that's the thing too, is like with fashion, I think maybe women are also under more scrutiny in that regard of like, don't wear this, do wear that. Yeah. That's a little too showy. Yeah. Oh, you're not showing enough.
Yes. Oh, I used to get the not showing enough comment back in the day.
Whoa.
I remember someone from my record label literally saying, you dress frumpy on stage. Can you please wear a handkerchief as a shirt? Right? I know. Thought I was frumpy.
But that's kind of weird because I feel like
they're also long gone.
Good.
Yeah.
You should only do that on your terms though, because you feel good in it. It's not for anybody else.
I wasn't ready back then, I remember. And I look back and he was like, he wasn't wrong. Mm-hmm. What I was wearing looked potato sacky in a lot of ways. Like he wasn't wrong, but I didn't want to hear it. And I didn't want the comment. And I wanted to discover how I wanted to dress on like my own timeline.
Yeah. And your style's freaking sick.
Thanks.
Now. So whatever journey you've gone through, it works.
Thank you very much. I'm really into black vinyl right now because I like to punish myself.
I was going to say that's so uncomfortable.
That's what everybody, Maria Brink on the last tour, she's like, so how's the vinyl going? And I was like, it's a lot. It's a lot. We're struggling. And when I take it off, and the other day, it's like, you know, we're trying to, you can like go like this and like all the sweat slaps the bus window. And I'm going, why am I doing this to myself? But like, when I just feel like it's the right thing to do, I can't explain it any other way.
Do you and her chit chat about fashion often?
Oh yeah,
because you two are like the ones.
I just sent her something today. I was like, "This made me think of you, just so you know." And it was like this really cool kind of girl in this flowy black dress, and it looked like there was like a church on fire in the background, and it was all in slow motion. I'm like, "This is if you haven't seen this, it's like I want to be the one to show it to you." And you know, and vice versa. She'll send me things. She goes, "This made me think of you. Look into this designer."
It's all vinyl.
More vinyl. Head to toe, just that's my eyes so cool, poking out.
I mean, yeah, I could totally see that. Her with the flowy things, you with all the spikes and the
maybe eventually things. I look at her stage outfit and I go, man, that must be nice. Yeah. Must be no shoes. Great. She doesn't wear shoes.
Does she go barefoot?
She goes barefoot. Meanwhile, I'm
like
on Struggle Street. I'm on Struggle Street. It's heavy. I'm trying to jump with the crowd and I'm like barely getting an inch off the ground. So I'm like, this is heavy.
I have no doubt she's paid her dues in some like uncomfortable outfits.
Yeah.
So in due time.
Yeah. Plus also I know I'm speaking out of school because I know what she wears underneath is very, very form fitting underneath. So she's not getting out scot-free.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's, you know, when I watch, because I watch her every night if I can. Like maybe I missed a couple of shows, but I watch every night from the barricade and I'll see like, you know, her shawl flowing because she's got 5 billion fans on stage, which I'm very jealous about. And we'll look at each other and be like, the body. Damn, Maria, like the body.
She's freaking gorgeous.
I know.
You both are beautiful. Absolute utmost respect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I do want to talk actually about like this community of women in metal right now, because I feel like there's just this sphere of love and support that I'm seeing, not just with Maria, but also like Lacuna Coil and Hailstorm, like
Dorothy,
the Pretty Reckless. Mm-hmm. It's just
the
all
Warning.
Of you. Oh yes, so good. And do you feel like you all learn from each other and get to kind of just swap wisdom? And what has that been like, having that support system in place? It's
a very tight-knit, female-fronted metal community right now. We all talk. Mm-hmm. We all talk all the time. I talk to Heidi and Carla every week. I talk to Maria every week. I talk to Lizzie every week. I talk to Lilith every week. Dorothy probably every other day because we love to gossip. She's my gossip sister. And mostly about guys, and who else I missed? The Warning's great, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this yet, but I'll find out. Maybe we can like cut. If I can't say this yet, this is where a little beep. We're taking Conquer Divide, which is, you know, some of the newer, not new, but new to us on tour at the end of this year, which I'm really excited about. I like them a lot.
I love them. And they're kind of, it's like that new generation, and it's cool to see you all who have been in it for a while. Yes. Mm-hmm. And kind of like bringing the new ones in.
Yeah.
That's important too, because it's like we kind of see it with a lot of rock festivals now where all the headliners are the old dogs. And it's like, well, when are we going to lift up the new artists?
People complain a lot about that, and they say it's always the same headliners. But meanwhile, I'm at the Barricade going, yeah, Judas Priest for the 20th time. Motley Crue again, yes.
I am not complaining. I'll watch Alice in Chains all day,
That's me though. Because if it's new people, I'm like, but that's because I'm a miser. I'm a bit of a Scrooge. Because I've been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit Clint Eastwood. I'm a bit like, get off my lawn. I want to see my favorites.
That's fair.
But I'm also one of the newer up and comers. So it's like, yes, I also want the new people to get a chance at the headlining. So, and I've talked to the Danny Wimmers and the Danny Hayes, and they go, we're working on getting you up, moving you on up the roster, getting our logo a little bit bigger on the flyer, which we finally did this time. They actually used our logo instead of it just being like normal print at the bottom, which we were very excited about.
I'll see you at Rockville.
Yes.
Yeah, freaking sick.
Oh, festivals are my favorite because I go, are we done? Okay. And then I change and I go watch every other band.
Playground. It's so much fun.
It's fun for me. My mom came to Aftershock. Do you see any other bands? You took off. Yeah. I wanted her to see what a day at a festival is like for me. Because it's nonstop. It's a lot of work. Yeah,
I'm glad I caught you now because I may or may not see you. To be honest, they are crazy.
I'm gonna force us seeing each other because I like to do the press.
Press is
I
fun.
do. I like to talk to everybody.
But that's not everyone. Not everyone loves the press.
Well, that's stupid.
That's well, thank you for the love. I'll be here.
I like to do that, and I like to watch the other bands. That's how I saw my. Well, technically. Well, we'll save that story for off camera. No, I will say this.
Okay.
Girl talk story.
We will save that then. Yeah. But the thing, I guess the reason some people may not like press is because like the ability to control the narrative, right? Like being able to sort of tell your story the way you want to tell it without anyone manipulating it. And that is kind of the beauty of social media that you have been so amazing at. Like,
thank you.
I mean, you've been hey,
lately
you're doing live streams, you're doing closet sales. I see you.
I'm trying to be more present authentically because I tend to hide in a hole because putting myself out there, I know it looks like I must love it because I'm out there all the time, but it's hard for me to get out of my goblin cave.
Well, that's what I was going to ask because it's like when the band started, this wasn't really a thing you had to do, but you've adapted really well through the years.
MySpace was the thing when we started. And
2007?
Then, yeah, 2007 was when New Year's Day did its first like US tour when we were just wee babies. And so MySpace was the thing. And we obviously conquered that to hell and back. And then, when Instagram started in 2011, 2012, we didn't really think much of it, but I put myself out there for so many years doing like red carpet hosting and TV appearances and magazine covers that it kind of took on a life of its own. And now I'm at a place where it's like, I don't really want to be out there that much, but I have to be.
It's part of the job, isn't it?
Yeah. I call it the necessary evil. So I stepped back, and then what I've noticed is being a female and being correlated with maybe some popular males in the music industry has garnered me a lot of new fans, but a lot of hate at the same time.
Why do you think that is?
I think I put myself in their shoes a lot because when I was younger, my favorite band was Incubus. And I hated all their girlfriends because in my mind, I wanted to marry them all when I was 13. And I think back to that and I go, I get it. Like I did a sex scene in a music video with your favorite singer, or I dated your favorite guitar player, or I'm seen with all your favorite whoever's. And it gets a lot of hate. So in that, if I don't put myself out there, I notice that the narrative will take on a life of its own.
Right.
And people kind of decide who I am for me because they don't know who I am. So I've been trying to kind of put myself out there more. Yeah. And I kind of don't want to.
It's scary.
It's a lot.
I would like to think I could maybe debunk that you're one of the nicest people that I come across.
Thank you.
It is like the best honor and pleasure every time I see you.
Thank you. I mean, my mom is here, but it's my mom, so she's maybe a little biased. But, I feel like as a female, I get the crap end of the stick because it's like when a band member leaves, automatically it's because, well, Ashley must be a bitch or a diva or a whatever.
Or what you were saying earlier, that you're like a handful, is that what you would say?
Difficult.
Or difficult. Like,
well, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm Mother Teresa. But
also you're running a business that's extremely important to you.
Yeah.
It matters that things are done well.
And when people get fired, they're not going to be happy, and they're not going to be happy with me.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to go off and say. And then the people who have an axe to grind with me are going to want to believe it. And I get it, because it feels good to believe that maybe I'm not the awesome person that maybe you think I am.
Well, she's freaking sick. So
thank you.
Shut up.
I think I'm awesome. I think I'm awesome. But
yeah.
I've gone through the public breakups because I did put myself out there with my past 2 relationships a lot. And so I kind of put myself in that position of, if the relationship's going to be public, so is the breakup and the divorce. It's going to be public. And if I don't put out my own narrative, then people will give me a narrative. So I'm trying to regain control, because I think I've been canceled a dozen times by now.
What a waste of time. You're not even you haven't done anything wrong. Cancel the people who deserve it.
I mean, and I'm so laid back. I'm always like,
Yeah.
What can you do? Because you're gonna be the villain in somebody's story. And if you're not, are you living life? Are you a boss?
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, your truth, and you're doing right by yourself. And you can do as much as you can to put out the truth, but you can't control.
No one's gonna believe it.
Say.
There's people who won't.
Yeah, and
there was one girl. She hates me so much. I'm her number one favorite person.
I'll fight.
So she made this YouTube video saying, I only want to be friends with famous people, and I convinced Piggy D to start the band with me because he was in Rob Zombie, and I convinced him. And I was like, I'm sitting there, and I showed it to Piggy. This is Piggy right here. And I was like, didn't you ask me to be in this band? He's like, yeah, because you had a big following. I was like, so you asked me to be in the band? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like,
But the thing is, people don't know these things.
It's they don't care. Because I reached out and I did give that fact. I'm like, he asked me to be in the band. I know you only want to be there. Like, oh, okay, so we're not listening to me about my life.
But what's tough about that too is it also discredits your talent and your abilities, because it's like,
agreed. Yeah, agreed. Well, I do get, and it's to be expected. I get a lot of, Angel Eyes, for example, that we did Chris Motionless. I've seen some comments fairly recently about, I didn't write it.
It's on your album.
I wrote it, but that doesn't matter. I wrote it. So I mean, and I get, being a journalist, I'm sure you've heard girls are like, I always get the question, what's it like to be a girl in a band? Or do you think women are still discriminated against? And in a lot of ways in the industry, they're not, but in the fandoms, they are.
Yeah.
Still.
It's weird, because when I started this podcast, I was like, we have made improvements since I've started in the scene, and things have gotten better for us girls.
Totally.
I was like, is this getting redundant to have a podcast about girls in metal? And then I've started having the conversations like, we still need this.
Absolutely.
And maybe we've kind of scared some people into being a little more subliminal about their misogyny, but it's still there. Good. We'll scare you more. But we still need to be addressing this
scary. Stuff. I know. When someone tells me pretty, I got all dressed up for this photo shoot. We were on the cover of Outward magazine last month, and I got dressed up, and I asked my boyfriend, I said, how do I look? And he goes, beautiful. And I was like, ugh. I was going for vaguely threatening and intimidating, but I guess beautiful's fine.
Well, that's something I've also always loved about New Year's Day is that darkness in you that even the title, victim to villain, kind of sums it up really well, doesn't it? Of the mission.
I have become the villain, and then maybe that was a self-foretold prophecy. Maybe I manifested it on my own, and I kind of always knew. And nothing is lost on me. I know what's going on. When I am getting, close to maybe other people in bands, or if I know I'm putting my relationship out there, I'm like, I know I'm setting myself up, but you know what? I can only do what feels right to me. Mm-hmm. And if putting it out there feels right to me, then there's no other way to do it. You just, you can't live your life in a way where you're trying to make a billion other people happy or make yourself palatable so other people won't get mad at you eventually. Then what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was just thinking is because of, let's say, the Motionless and White affiliation, do you find yourself being weary of who you associate with now to avoid these kinds of things more?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah. I found myself in moments being I feel like when I'm getting it hard, I think, do I regret doing that song with Chris? Do I regret like putting ourselves out there? Because we used to kiss on stage. We did it on purpose. I would like to officially say right here, we did it on purpose because it riled up the crowd.
Well, yeah, people would go nuts.
But you know, it's now taken on its own life where like she sexually abused Chris and forced herself on a man on stage. That man is a grown man.
Right.
You're not forcing him to do anything. And watch the YouTube videos where there's no forcing.
That looked like consent to me.
Yes. We thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because people would lose their minds. And we're performers. So to see comments like that, I will get a touch of like y'all ain't worth it for me to be told these things, you know, and did not, as critical thinking just went out the window. Critical thinking just went out the window. Critical thinking left the chat. Is here. Anyone who believes I could force someone to kiss me on stage, what, again and again and again? More than once. Crazy. So there's times where I've regretted in the past maybe getting so close. And so I look at artists like Lizzie and Maria who maybe get a little bit of flack for like not hanging out. Maybe they don't hang out. But they don't because they do have to protect themselves.
Yeah.
They can't go on the bus and do the party where everyone's drinking and there's a photo of her in the background. Right. And you know, I'm trying to teach myself that lesson, but it's like really hard for me because I love to bro down and I'm like, this is going to bite me in the butt someday. Like it's going to bite me in the butt. And so, but I'm trying to learn how to be better about like closing myself off, which sucks.
And it's a double-edged sword because then that's a different kind of portrayal.
Then I'm a diva.
But, yeah. But
it never hangs out.
And that's, I think, just important to bring awareness to is like, we kind of can't win. So just do what's right for you.
There it is. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you might as well. They're going to talk about you anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to make up their own crap about you anyway. So you might as well just try and have a good time and do. My therapist, by the way, you touched on something a few minutes ago. My therapist told me when all this stuff was coming out a couple years ago, like 2021, like just all these horrible rumors. I was telling her about what was going on and she said, why don't you take this opportunity to be an example? Because there's a lot of people who maybe go through rumors being started about them. Maybe they're at work. It's an employee, a fellow employee, a coworker. Maybe it's a family member. You know, at Thanksgiving, you have to hear this crap about you. Or maybe it's like bullies at school. And she's like, why don't you be an example for everyone who may be going through that and stand tall in your truth, hold your head high and say, you know what, I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm going to have confidence in who I am and let people know that if you can do it, they can do it, which is really hard. Yeah. It's really hard because I want to fly off the deep end. I want to lose my shit a lot. But I mean,
that's
she
powerful,
knows.
Though. Yeah.
She has to hear all about it.
That's what moms are for.
Yeah, she has to hear about all of it. Yeah. And then we go like, what can you do?
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. I mean, you are so strong, and like I've always known that. Well,
no, it's true. It's true. You're right. I know it's true.
You're strong to have gone through it, and maybe if in those moments you didn't feel strong, or you felt like you wanted to curl up in a ball. I made that noise
because I wish it wasn't that way.
Yeah,
you know, but
you shouldn't have to be. But it's
but those I think about that a lot. So I'm like, man, I wish it wasn't that way. And I said, it goes right back to the beginning of our conversation. I am dealt the hands I'm dealt for a reason. So if this is what I'm going through and this is the situation I'm in, I have to find the reason for it and use it because it's happening for a reason.
And now you've turned Half Black Heart into the best empowerment album.
Thank you.
Ever.
Thank you.
And I listened to it at the gym and was like, I think I'm lifting heavier weights because of you.
Heck yeah.
So, you know, you've turned like so much pain and frustration and difficulty. And I know, you know, you're a human being. You're not going to be strong all the time. But the fact that you've turned it into this message and this project, that's what
Vampire and Half Black Heart is mostly about.
Yeah.
It's kind of like my message to the people that are so obsessively hell bent on doing whatever they can to hurt me all the time because they've decided they're judge and jury. They've decided they're entitled enough to throw a stone at me like they're perfect.
Right.
And so, you know, maybe I don't address it personally and publicly, but I address it through music. That's always been the outlet. So Vampire and Half Black Heart is my message to those people.
Yeah. So do you essentially, I mean, what's your process to like create the perfect empowerment song? And why also do you think that that's more effective even than like, I don't know, a TED Talk? Like, because I can listen to one of your songs and that does more for me than like reading a book.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never written a nice song. I can't really write a happy song. So it's like songwriting is my therapy. And I'm very lucky that I'm surrounded by very talented songwriters that I've been working with for a very long time that know how to, like, for example, Scott Stevens, who's also like Dorothy, Maria, Lizzie, Lilith, all our favorite girls. And, one day he goes, how are you feeling today? And I said, I'm feeling, fearless. Like, I can do this just today though. And he goes, that's it. That's the song. Like we can pull that and use, and then we wrote the song Fearless together. And Vampire was the same, I was telling the songwriter Blair Daly, who also works with the same women. I was feeling like everyone's just trying to suck the life out of me, and he goes, like a vampire. And I was like, well, yeah, like a vampire, and he's the one that came up with Vampire.
Got to make it goth.
I know. Well, yeah, they know always with a touch of darkness. They know, they've learned over the years. Cause when it comes to songwriting, I have no filter. I tell them if it's a new songwriter, the first day I say, cannot hurt my feelings. If there's an idea, you think you have something better, tell me. I will never be butthurt. My ideas are not like I'm married to them. And I will also do the same to you. I'll be like, I don't like it. Next.
It has to be that way.
Yeah, we all agree there's no feelings in the songwriting room. And so we just kind of move through it like that. And when he wrote Vampire, I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, it was so cool. It's my favorite New Year's Day song.
It's so good. I love it. The album it makes me feel powerful.
Me too.
So
well, when I play it on stage, I feel like I am leading the Lycan werewolf vampire army into battle, and I am, Celine in the vinyl unitard ready to jump off a building and like chop off some heads.
That's how it looks.
Thank you.
Yeah. You have a cool job.
And we got to use pyro for the first time, and which is like a big deal because when you're in a band and you're 14, you go, someday when I have a tour bus, it's gonna feel like I've made it, or someday when I have fire, it's gonna feel like I've made it. And so when we had the fire, I felt like Queen Dingling in the universe. I was like, now I've got the taste for it and I want it, but it's $5,000 a show. Ooh. So,
but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Maybe we'll pick and choose our shows.
Everybody buy merch so she can use
fire. I can have fire and feel really cool for 30 minutes on stage.
Deal.
Please.
All right. I don't know how to transition to this next bit, but basically we end every episode with 4 jaw-dropping questions for you. So it should be fun. Yeah.
I like jaw dropping. That's good. Okay.
Well, the most jaw dropping experience you've ever had at a show, other than using pyro.
Oh my gosh. I've been doing this for so long. We could do a whole podcast just on jaw. I mean, when Marilyn Manson, when we were on tour together and he came up and grabbed my hand and walked me around the stage for Dope Show and changed the words to, and I'm not your daddy. I was like, please don't like spit on me or break a glass over my head or push me off the stage. It was like the most nerve-wracking, 2 minutes of my life was walking around with Manson, like looking at my band this time, like, help.
I'd probably find that equally like exhilarating and also
nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
nerve-wracking. Or like when we accidentally opened for Rammstein.
Wait, accidentally?
Yeah. I'll keep the long story short. So we were on tour in Paris and we were going to Paris. And I woke up and I noticed we weren't moving in our bus. And I went to the driver who was asleep in the front. And I said, where are we? He goes, oh, the break sounded kind of funny. And I didn't want to like put you guys in danger. So I stopped here. And I was like, what do you mean? We played 3 hours and we're like 7 hours away from the venue. And I was like, I don't care if the bottom of this bus falls out. Like get in the driver's seat. So we drove there. We missed our set time. But it so happened we got to the back of our stage when another band didn't show up. And it was right before Rammstein. And they said, we have the other band's equipment. You have enough time to get up, use another band's equipment, right? Play for 10,000 people. It's 10,000 people. There's a photo of this. And Rammstein's next. And I was like, it was one of those moments where I was like, I don't want to be here. How did I get in this position? I was like, well, I can either pussy out and go home.
Yeah.
Or I can just do it. So we just did it.
Well, like a pro.
Turned great. They loved it.
That's phenomenal.
They loved it because they didn't really speak English. And I was a pretty girl on stage. They just loved every second of it. It didn't matter. I could have said anything. Yeah. I could have sang anything. It didn't matter. It was great. Like one of the best shows of our life. And I could go on and on. There's like jaw-dropping moments in my life. Okay. I snuck into my first Warped Tour in 2003. just in time to see Burt McCracken from the Used climbing the rafters singing Taste of Ink to jump off the rafters in the crowd. Fast forward to 2013, maybe. And I told him that story, and he goes, "You want to sing Taste of Ink with me today?" And I went, full circle moment. Yes, I do. And I got to sing Taste of Ink at War Tour. And there's just stories. Like, I feel like I've lived 9 lives.
Yeah.
I have lived a lot of lives.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So many.
So cool. Yeah, we'll have to do another episode of the podcast because these are really
just
good
stories. Yeah.
Some of the best answers I've heard.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now the most jaw-dropping misstep early in your career and the lesson you learned from it.
Jaw-dropping mishap?
Or like misstep. Like
misstep. In my career, I'm going to approach this in like, if I was going to give someone a female in a younger band starting out, I'd say guard your truth. Always. Don't put yourself in positions you don't feel like you belong in, or you feel unsafe in, or do collaborations you don't want to do, or wear what you don't want to wear. Protect like who you are with all that you have. That's my number one.
Beautiful. Integrity is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now the most jaw-dropping female artist you'd love to work with.
Oh gosh. Well, I feel like I've gotten to work with all the ones I love so much.
I'm like, what is the answer?
Okay, Gwen Stefani.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, I can't believe it. And all my travels.
And No Doubt's making the comeback.
In all my travels, in all my times, I've met every member of No Doubt, and I've got to tell them the story. My mom took me to see No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom at the Anaheim Pond, 1995, when I was 12. And
that's when I was born, by the way.
Shoot. Well, I was 12. I was 12 and at a No Doubt concert with my mom.
I just want to clarify, was it, what did you say earlier? Like 2004 or something?
That's right. I said 2003. Okay. So you were alive. You were alive during when House Thousand Corpses came out. So but also kudos to you for being so young and thinking it was a good movie, because it's a little scary.
A little scary.
Anyways,
so you see No Doubt,
I've met
1995.
all the No Doubt members and told them this story. I told them how, when I saw them play, I was like, I want to do that. And I remember Adrian Young was the one I told the story to at the OC Music Awards. And he thought it was the coolest story. And he was like, I got to come here. You got to tell everyone. And Tom DeLonge and Tony Dumont were there. And I told them the story. They didn't seem to care really as much as Adrian did, which is fine. He was really excited about it. But I've never met Gwen in all the years. Can you believe it?
She seems like an untouchable figure to me. But
I do have an autograph, but that's because my mom stormed like a rhino under the caution tape while they were filming Sunday morning. Because I waited outside all day with my, my CD, my Tragic Kingdom CD for her to sign. She wouldn't come out and sign it, even though there was like 5 of us waiting outside. If it was me in a music video, I would just go. She didn't. So my mom just marched back there, went to the director and was like, "Where's Gwen?" And so I have Gwen's autograph, but I did not get it in person. I still have it still in the garage.
Wow. Keep it away from the dog.
Yes. Yeah. Keep that away from Zero for sure.
Oh, man. And the last one we have here. The most jaw-dropping misconception about you that you wish people understood.
Oh, my God. I recently talked about this with the boyfriend. I said, is there anything you wish people knew about you? He said, no. Oh, well, that must be nice. And then he asked me back and I said, yes. Oh, yeah. I wish people knew my heart. Like, I really wish people knew my heart and knew, like, truly knew me. Just it sounds weird saying this about yourself. Like, I know I'm a good person. I really do. And I try to treat people good. Mm-hmm. And if someone treats me bad, I treat them accordingly. Yeah. The way they deserve. If I'm not gonna be good to someone that's not good to me. But he goes, why do you care what people think about you? And I said, I guess you're right. Guess I don't.
But it is nice when people know that you're good.
That's what I said. I was like, don't you think it'd be nice if people knew, so that I didn't have to deal with all these like misconceptions that are out there about me. And I think if you're a boss babe, especially in a male dominant industry, presiding in a leadership role over many males, mm-hmm. you're going to deal with some rumors. Yeah. And some misconceptions. You're going to be a diva. You're going to be difficult. You're going to be a bitch. You're going to be all those things. And so I just you just have to roll with it.
And the truth always prevails at some point.
That's what I always hope. I always hope that my character stands for, and I have a saying with the boys. I go, I'm going to be a good person and hope that is enough. Mm-hmm. That's all I can do. But the mighty always fall.
And I'll tell you what, fall. By the way, I know we got to wrap up, but Jake from the Blackcraft podcast, who you know.
Sweet baby Jake.
He actually mentioned to me, he's like, Ash is one of the only musician friends I have who still checks in on me and like keeps in touch with me.
Of course I do.
And I think that right there is a really important testimonial. I mean, he doesn't even know that I'm mentioning this on this podcast. That was a private conversation between us, but I think it's really important as like a testimonial to your character and that, he has... like there's nothing to gain from that relationship. You're simply friends. And
he's a good person. He's an amazing
person. Hi, Jake.
I love good people. And they're few and far between.
And you keep in touch. Yeah. I mean, even we've kept in touch here and there over the years. And you don't have to do that. You just do.
I'm a bit bad at keeping in touch. I get a lot of shit. Busy. I get a lot of shit from my best friends who are like, hi, are you alive? But I try to do my best to keep in touch with good people.
Yeah.
I try to surround myself with the good people. And if someone's not in my life and I'm not friends with somebody, ask yourself why. Maybe they're not a good person. Maybe I stepped away because I didn't think they were worthy of my energy. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to run to Instagram and make an announcement. I don't do that. I don't do that, and I won't.
Just let it go.
I won't. I will let people speak for themselves eventually. I do feel like eventually people reveal themselves. It may not happen tomorrow or a year from now, but I do, like I said, I have to saying the mighty fall, and karma's very real. And I've seen it bite a lot of people in their butts.
Yeah.
Well, so I just wait.
And we're still standing, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank
you so much for coming all this way.
Yeah, it's fun.
You drove so many hours to be here, and I'm honored. Honored. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Honestly, about time. Yeah. But everybody who's watching, if you aren't already, make sure you're tuned in here on KNOTFEST every other week for She's of the Band. Subscribe. If you're watching this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a review. It helps us a ton. And we'll catch you next time. Bye, y'all.
I don't know which way to wave.
I don't know. We'll wave them all.
Hello. Bye. Disney wave.
Oh, what is it again?
Elbow, wrist, touch your heart and blow a kiss. That's what they do. I know. That's what the princesses do.